as well.
That guy in that old shirt, who must be the fence expert? Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? It's time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. So here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, Fence fam? So good to be back with you guys virtually, as it were. Man, we've been a few weeks off between Fence Installation School on either side of last week, which it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So good to be back with you guys. Hope everyone is smashing their goals, wrapping up a great week. Hope everyone's just coasting into the holiday season full of success. Guys, if you're new here, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert. And we held conversations most every Saturday with influential leaders in the fencing space, or sometimes we just talk about fence one-on-one. We go live most every Saturday from 10 a.m. Central to around 11. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, you are listening to a recorded version of a live conversation that we host most every Saturday. If you'd like to participate live, check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube.com/Joe Everest. Across any of those and you'll find us. So appreciate you guys tuning in. First, before we get into the conversation, because I know once we get into this conversation, the hour's going to go by really quick. I want to give a shout out to Caleb Ashley and team over at Expert Professional Wood Care Products. Great team, great company, great products. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. They are. I appreciate them sponsoring these live broadcasts that bring these conversations to you guys. But I also appreciate their products as a consumer. Now, they're a sponsor because we were a customer first, and I just really love their products. So if you install wood fence or you're looking at getting into fence staining, check out the Expert Professional Wood Care line of products. I think you'll agree with me. It's a great line, and you feel better using it because it's a stain that doesn't stink. With all that being said, guys, I'd love to bring up the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only, he himself, Tony Thornton. Tony, how are you?
Good morning, Joe. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you first and foremost making time on a Saturday morning to come on the show. It means a lot.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. If we're talking fence, I'm in.
Isn't that the truth? Well, talking about getting together and talking about fence, we just got done with a week long of meeting with fence contractors from literally all over the country and just talking fence and learning about fence.
Yes. Absolutely.
So Fence Installation School, I think the guys that I talk to, guys, if you're watching this, we'll be having content interviews with the people that went through, but just as I'm there talking with all the contractors that went through, it sounded like it was a resounding success.
Yeah, I believe it was. The American Fence Association does an outstanding job of putting that fence installation school on as well, running concurrently several other schools, the Fence Contractor Business School, the Sales Training School, the Operator Training School. I mean, you talk about, making some things happen all at one time over a 1 week period. That's pretty amazing. And this year it actually was in two different venues, one in Arlington and one in Tulsa. So kudos to AFA, the team, the staff, and everyone that pulled that off. But more specifically, I was requested to chair the Fence Installation School, one of my babies over my tenure of time. But I really enjoyed chairing it. I actually got to step into the role as an instructor a couple of days, teach a little wood fencing. But 26 students went through the Fence Installation School. From the surveys that Nick and the team are getting back, it just, to your point, it's just a resounding success. Those individuals that were there, I did a survey on Sunday night when we were welcoming everyone, Joe.
Yeah.
And I asked them, what is your level of experience? And do you know that we only had 2 or 3 people out of those 26 attendees that had over 2 years of experience? That was pretty impressive to me. So we got some younger generation. We've got some additional people wanting to get that type of training to where they can be an ultimate professional. And that was impressive to me.
I agree. It was just a lot of new contractors coming into, or new professionals coming into the space, which, I mean, as an industry, we absolutely need. Yes. We've got to have, because on the other end, I mean, we've got a whole generation that's now it's kind of cycling out of the field, maybe into the office, maybe who knows where they're going. But no, I had the same thought. The room full of new professionals coming into the industry, that's a heck of a feeling.
It truly is. And, they soaked it up like a sponge. I mean, you throw a sponge in a sink, right, and all the water disappears. I mean, those guys were doing gals. We had 2 or 3 young ladies there that were in the field learning the trade. And again, those guys just soaked it up with asking the right questions. We had one or two guys that were there specifically for one or two disciplines, not everything.
Sure.
And come up to me and say, hey, I got enough of this. Can I step back over and get that one more time? And to me, that was really a good note in the fact that these guys are really trying to tune in on whatever their specific, installation type and styles were going to be in their particular market.
I thought it was really interesting too to see a really nice cross section of, or a really nice distribution between owner operators all the way up to, there were some guys from fairly large companies.
Yes.
One particularly large company over on the East Coast. I saw a gentleman in one of their hoodies that, so it was interesting to see that too, right? Is everyone from owner operators. I mean, we sent someone, I think we're probably on the small side of media, maybe, I don't know. And everyone all the way up to these major players in the industry, 15, 18 locations, that sort of thing. It was really interesting to see a variety of all of those.
I agree. And to your point, these larger companies are looking at well, I wouldn't say just the larger companies, but any company owner that sees potential in an individual is willing to invest in sending them to a school, a training event, something that's going to educate them. And what it's going to do is it's going to accelerate them, to whatever level that we need to get them to, in a more timely fashion. I mean, you and I grew up in it. We got thrown out there and we learned it over time. But I mean, through these schools, you're picking up a year, almost, 18, maybe even 24 months of knowledge and information because people are sharing it with you that's been there, that's done it. And that's what's so impressive to me is the ramp up time that it takes to get these folks, not more knowledgeable. I think is one of the impressive pieces about all the schools.
Well, I'll tell you, so we sent someone through, and the way it made sense to me was, so we had this gentleman, Caven, which Caven, if you're watching, again, much congratulations to you. But we highlighted him, or he kind of stuck out from our crowd because he's a new hire. He's been here just a couple months, but he was hungry for knowledge. He's hungry to learn any of the tasks. We said, hey, we've got something to go do. He's raising his hand to get ready to go do it. And his crew leader, Matt, had come in one day. He said, craziest thing. He said, we were going over to repair a chain link fence because, I mean, Tony, it's one of these customers where we've got standard house crews, but nothing new. And they couldn't wait till tomorrow. This had to be fixed right then, So we said, hey, yeah, we've got some guys. We can send them over anyway. So we sent Matt as the seasoned professional. We sent Caven as his kind of assistant, his helper. He goes, did you know he was watching YouTube videos on how to repair chain link fence all the way over there so that he would at least have an idea what we were getting into before we got there? Like, oh, really? This is interesting. And so we talked more about what Caven's been doing, what he's accomplished so far. And I was like, you know what we need to do? We got to send him. It's coming up, and at the time it was coming up in about a month and a half. So we called him in and said, hey, need you to go home, talk to the significant other that he's got some kiddos. I need you to talk to the family. I'd like you to go. We'll pay the whole way. We'll pay, the whole thing. I'd like you to go to get the experience, but it is going to be a week away. Now it's right down the road for us. Tulsa is about 3 hours. So it's right down the road, but it's a week of being away. He goes, yep, I'll go. Like, whoa.
Go home.
You better go check. I mean, just not for nothing, but you ought to go check. He said, no, we're on the same page that if it leads to my professional development, that we're going to do that. He goes, I'll go home and talk to her, but that's going to be our answer. And sure enough, he came in the next day. He's like, sign me up. Let's go. So.
I remember him. He was engaging. He was asking the right questions. I tell everybody, you can't be that backseat Baptist. You got to get up here and you got to get your hands on it. Right. And if I see those guys at the back, I bring them to the front, if I'm an instructor, and we've asked all of our instructors to do the same thing. He wasn't in the back, man. He was right up front. He was all in. So I think, your investment there will pay off. And you heard Sunday night, I challenged everybody in the room that what nuggets, what information, what knowledge you learn, take it back and share it with somebody else. Share that commonwealth because it's just going to grow the company. It's going to grow the culture. We're going to be better off for it as an industry if we, do more for others.
Well, and from a company standpoint, it made so much sense by sending him to a school where he'll get structured learning, right, from industry professionals, but in a way he'll be taught how to build fence in a way that meets standards as well.
Bingo.
And those were important to us because I wanted him to come back. I mean, obviously not ready to go lead a crew and install miles of fence. Like that wasn't our expectation, but we wanted him to be put on that path.
Yes.
So that he could get a taste of it, also of disciplines that we don't install. So 5 disciplines: chain link, wood, ornamental, vinyl, and agricultural. Is that right?
That's right.
So a couple of those we don't do. We don't do a lot. We don't do any agricultural. We don't do a lot of vinyl. But I told him, I said, hey, it would be really good for you to learn this though, because if we got called out to a repair that also had some of this, we'll tap you and send you. Or, I mean, how many times, Tony, have you seen a project that's, 2,000 foot of chain link, but we also have this dumpster enclosure, or we also have this AC enclosure that it's vinyl or it's something else. It's like, man, I want that chain link, but I know for a fact if I exclude the vinyl, we're not getting the chain link. They want one fence contractor to come do the job. I guess we'll figure out how to do it. Now we've got a tool in the tool bag to say, okay, he's seen it, he's familiar with it, and now something we haven't really touched on yet, but he also has a support system, right? He has the rest of his team that he spent all week with and the larger group as a whole to lean back in. They're in the group text messages because he was telling me about it the other day where they're still like, hey, we did this today. Hey, I did that today. And he has this support group too. So he's seen it. He's put his hands on it. He understands what it is. But also if there's a little thing, he also has this group to say, hey, snap a picture. Here's what I'm seeing. Who's done, who's faced this before. I feel supremely confident in sending him out there knowing that he's armed with the basic tools to tackle that fence.
Well, too, maybe you don't do ag, maybe you don't do a lot of vinyl, but if you pick up something that was impressive in that particular discipline that you could take over to wood or ornamental, say, you know what, this concept is about the same. Why can't I implement that process into this? So you can learn different, types of pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, nuggets, we call them. That would help you overall to be a better fence contractor, professional, installer, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So, but you hit the nail on the head. It's really been a pleasure to see the American Fence Association maintain the best practices and the standards piece. And I remember, when I became executive director back in 2014, the cores were just being finished up. The disciplines had not been written yet. They were started, but they were not finished up. And I remember Mike Robinson, who you know well from your area there, he was our president that year. And he said, Tony, we've got to put a big push on getting these disciplines finished up. There's 2 things I want you to do. Get them done and make sure they meet the standards. And at the end of the day, we had a lot of great professionals step in the roles of support, and we got those disciplines, written. The key to that is that we've taken the best practices from everywhere, from Alaska to Florida, from the Northeast to the, Southwest. And those best practices are different in every area. Setting posts in South Louisiana is going to be different than setting, in Wisconsin in the winter. But we take those best practices, we rope that curriculum to where you're going to learn a little bit of all of it, but yet you've got a foundation that you can explore and do different things with. And everything that we're teaching is those standards. And I think that's important for business owners and, operator owners to really understand that we've got to do a better job of making sure that we protect the consumer with what we're doing. And that's only going to elevate and make our profession, better. That's really my take on it.
Absolutely. And that's what sealed the decision for me is, one, I knew, to your point, standards and best practices. So he was going to go learn a proven system, but also learn in a way that where if we put him on a commercial crew, he's going to understand, hey, there are minimum requirements we're going to have to hit. As far to your point about setting posts, he's going to know to ask for the specs for the post holes.
That's right.
what's the diameter, what's the depth. There's going to be standards here that we need to follow. Also another interesting thing, so he brought back just kind of ideas in his head on tools as well, because he said, hey, I saw guys, they use it kind of like us, but it's a little bit different. I'm gonna get with Matt, who's our fabricator. I'm gonna get with Matt, and I'm gonna figure out if we can like improve the tools we've got in the tool crib. Perfect. Oh yeah, I mean, it's Tony, from a return standpoint, I mean, you can't calculate it, but it's massive. It is absolutely huge, especially
with a young, energetic, wanting to share. And you're offering him an opportunity to become a leader. Just through the education and the opportunities that you're opening up for him, and that builds a strong culture. Joe, continues the strong 100%. Culture that you've already got in place. So, job well 100%.
Done. The other thing that sealed it for me, so standards, best practices, but also being led by people that have decades in the industry, real world installation experience, but just a breadth of knowledge. They haven't done it for a few years and showed proficiency. These are guys that have done it decades, right? It's for.
Did you hear the statistic that we threw out a couple of months ago as to how many years of experience?
It was like 500 or something like that.
It was just a little over 300.
300.
I mean, 500 is enough, but 300 still. Is But I mean, you take into account the instructors that we had there, over 300 years of experience. That's unheard of. Bringing that level of experience, knowledge, and willingness to share and teach, that's powerful. That's just powerful in itself.
Well, and you had leaders in the industry, right? And here's the dangerous thing about saying names is I'm going to leave some out. So if I leave some out, I'm going to apologize. But so Travis, Hall of Fame, AFA Hall of Fame, was there leading with Justin, leading agriculture, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, are you kidding me? You get to learn from these guys, from the guys in agricultural. Now, all right, some of the guys, because I almost hear Luke's plane spinning up right now to come talk to me about this. Yeah, but just the guys, right, in the industry. So installation school ran concurrently with business school. You had Ken Throckmorton kicking it off. Mm-hmm. You had massive names in the industry just feeding knowledge to these people, right? It's crazy. I mean, tons of experience is what I'm getting at. In that,
absolutely,
it's a depth of experience. But I feel like we've hit this drum for a while. We've pounded the drum for a while, but coming off a great week, and we got some great content. You guys will be able to watch the interviews. We interviewed, Mark, how many people did we interview? 5, 6, 7, 8? 10, 11 people in the beginning. We caught 6 or 7 on the way out to say, hey, what are your expectations? What are you trying to get out of this training? And then at the end of it, did it succeed? And the people interviewed at the end said, we succeeded like on day 3. The day 4 and 5 were icing on the cake. And a lot of talk about the camaraderie, a lot of talk about the learning didn't end in the field for the day. It continued on into the evening. And that was just Fence Installation School.
If you would allow me, please, I want to give a great shout out to those instructors, those 300 plus years of experience, folks. We had Robert Whitaker with Magnolia Fence and Purple Coaching, there for the wood discipline. I stepped in as a back support for him. Unfortunately, our good friend Dan Wheeler had a conflict and couldn't come in. Blake Thomas and Aaron Smith did an awesome job on the vinyl. I mean, buddy, they were sharing nuggets like it was watching those two guys work together. One of the older generations, Aaron, I'm picking on you like me, and then Blake, that younger generation guy. I mean, it was just phenomenal. Then you had Chance Whitener and Matt Cheradonna doing the ornamental. Those two guys meshed just like bam, bam, bam. And I mean, that whole discipline went without a hitch. You mentioned Travis Hampton, our good friend Alan Olson. Alan has really been supportive to the Fence Installation School for a number of years, as well as Travis. Travis used to be the chair of the school many, many years ago. But those two guys did an exceptional job on the chain link discipline, and we got a lot of really positive reviews there. Then you mentioned Justin Neri and of course Kyle Stender. Those two guys, from an agricultural standpoint, they're willing to share. They're showing the best techniques. Even though you may not do it, you can pick up something from that that's going to help you be a better professional in the other areas. And then, of course, needless to say, Nick Wright did an awesome job of, maintaining the organization piece of it. And, the backup, Brad Howard was there for a couple of days, and I saw McKay Alongam, who is our incoming president for the American Fence Association, come in. But he had to borrow a pair of boots from me to where he wouldn't get his sneakers muddy. But he got out there and visited with a lot of people. And I think that's good too, because incoming president, he gets to see and experience some of the things, that is going to be set up for expectations for, his presidency next year. So
well, you actually
did an awesome job.
You actually had three, right? So Brad Howard, and this is what I mean by I'm going to forget names, and I apologize. So Brad also jumped in on the business school and helped run business school. You had Brad, you had McKay, but also you had Ken Throckmorton, which is the president-elect. So you've got three lines of succession there all going through. I mean, it was – and talk about – just across the United States, regions across the United States, because Matt Sheridan is coming from the Northeast. You had guys from Texas, you had guys from Florida, you had, Brad's from the Pacific Northwest, you had guys just from all over the United States saying, okay, this is the general standard, but let me tell you how we modify it to meet we exceed the standard in our area in this way or in that way.
Well, I'll tell you too, Robert, Whitaker and myself actually got tapped in for dual purpose. They chased us down and asked, would we do a little bit of training for the Fence Contractor Business School, which, of course, both of us, flipped over backwards and said, heck yeah.
Sure.
So when Robert stepped in to do his day of training, I actually got to go teach wood fencing, which, man, I love that whole day. Honestly, that was the best day I was there. Taking the chairmanship completely away, just put me out there and let me teach and let me do what I love, which was, the wood discipline. Man, I had such an exciting day there. But it was a great week. Kudos to AFA. Well done to all the attendees, the investment and the time that everybody put into it. We appreciate what you guys do from an interview perspective, because that's just going to give, listeners a better opportunity to understand what they're getting out of it. So, I'm excited to see the follow-up and the survey results. That's for sure.
Well, and you're right that we need to give a shout out to AFA, to Nick and the team for just keeping all of that organized and on track, because like any real world experience, the whole week got kind of thrown for a loop. Monday started off with some incredible storms. We got chased by tornado warnings all the way home. And then so we thought, okay, well, I had some personal things we needed to deal with here in town during the week. I said, I'll be back Friday. We'll get out in the field, get all this footage. Well, then Thursday, Caven texts me. He's like, hey, bad news, boss man. He goes, we're going to be in the classroom tomorrow because it's pouring again. Oh, man. But kudos to you guys, but also Nick and the team AFA on being able to pivot, secure rooms, make sure it all happens, and make sure everyone continues their education.
That's right.
All right. So overwhelming success. Shout out, Tony for leading it, AFA for putting it on, and also shout out to all the men and women that showed up to invest in their training, because I tell you what, that's a commitment in itself as well. We spent a lot of time talking about fence installation school. There's also a fence contractor business school. There's also sales training school. Is that right?
Yep.
STS. That went on kind of concurrently there as well. So huge groups of people. Shout out to everyone involved, because I think it only propels the industry forward by investing in education.
Absolutely.
Let's say hello to a few people, Tony, but then we've got to talk about something that's coming up on the calendar. But I'm gonna bring Shane's comment up last because he tips on it. So we're gonna start it back up at the top, see who all's here. Guys, if you're watching on TikTok and you'd like to participate in the education, youtube.com/Joe Everest, and you can participate in this conversation as well. We have TikTok running over here, kind of a behind the scenes thing. We know this guy. What's up, Justin? Did you know that that's actually probably a real life photo of Justin there in that thumbnail? He's got like 30-pack abs in there.
There you go.
Let's go. It's Saturday morning, off delivering 100 turkeys to Western Nebraska for Turkey Force soldiers. God bless. Look forward to watching and listening.
Amen.
Justin's doing work.
Well done, brother. Well done.
You know what, Justin, if you're still watching now, this was an hour and 15 minutes before the live. So Justin's probably out delivering. But Justin, if you're watching, I'd like to connect with you for us to talk about this, because this is a great program, delivering. So he teams up with businesses. I got connected to Justin through Expert Professional Wood Care. We participated again this year. I'm sure the expert team did. I'm sure a lot of people did, providing turkeys for soldiers and their families. Justin's out there doing good work. So also concurrently with Fence Installation School, Fence Contractor Business School, Sales Training School, there are some automation schools going on, technician and design, right? I believe
all three of those were happening in Arlington. Yep.
Yeah. So Chris is local to us. Actually, he's one of our contracting partners here at Ozark Fence. So he went through the automation part in Arlington. So better to be early, I guess. Good morning, Fence fam. Chris, thank you so much for stopping in. What's up, Stevie Boy Billings? Haven't seen you in a while. Good afternoon, Joe and the Fence fam. Good afternoon, Stevie. Stevie is across the pond, so it's already afternoon over there.
Yeah, he's been up a while.
He's coming to us from the future. Justin says, thank you to everyone helping make a difference in the families' lives. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Michael Babbitt, morning, Joe. BMF Services from Michigan.
Yeah, you did exactly what I would have done.
The first half of that sentence, I'm all over, or that name.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
The boy. So, Mark
Charlevoix.
Mark nailed it. Okay,
I was close. Yeah.
The word in my mind was not Charlevoix. So, good morning, Michael. And Michael says, good morning, Tony.
Good morning, sir.
All right, we're skipping Shane. Shane, we're coming back because it's leading us into a conversation. Craig Eubanks, we know this guy. Good morning,
Craig. Yep.
Guys, check out Craig Eubanks' show, Fence Guy Friday, every Friday. Eubanks Fencing.
Been enjoying those. Yeah, he's had some good attendance.
They're good. They're very good. Robert Evers, good morning from White Lake, North Carolina. Good morning, Robert. Benji says, hey, gentlemen, happy Saturday, Fence fam. Good morning, Benji. I don't know why the word gentleman just hung me up there for a second. My brain rebooted. John Erickson. So is there any hands-on educational fencing programs in Wisconsin that's known by anyone here? So check out AFA calendar and see. I know they're doing fence installation school on the road. I don't know if they're getting that far north into Wisconsin, though. I tell you, so you might check with, depending on where in Wisconsin you were at, the Chicagoland chapter. You can reach out to some guys in your regional chapter, see if there's fence installation school on the road coming to an area near you. Another guy we know, Aloha Fence Building Better Neighbor. Aloha Fence Building Better Neighbor says aloha, gentlemen.
Love it.
Aloha, Josh, from Heber City, Utah. Speaking of Utah, Fence Tech's around the corner.
Absolutely.
We've been talking about that a little bit lately. Star Child, who's going to pay for the fence? I don't know. Asked and answered.
Might need a little more information on that question.
A little context on that would be great. I mean, I'm not. Tony, are you paying for the fence?
Not today.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to find somebody else or provide more context to the question, maybe.
All
right, let's get back up to Shane Cat. Says, what's up, y'all? Live from the deer stand. Tony, we were talking about this a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Tony almost came live from the deer stand if it was a few days earlier.
This is true. This is
slow
true.
morning. See you, gents, in a few weeks in Branson, Missouri. Now, Tony, what's coming up in a couple weeks in Branson, Missouri?
Well, Joe, you're going to be part of it. We've got 16 different individuals, what I call industry icons, that are going to come into Branson, Missouri, December the 1st. They'll be there the 2nd and 3rd. This is the 2nd annual Fence Business Conference. It's all about providing information and training for the attendees to be able to go back, run a better and more efficient and profitable business, And this is not the Thornton Fence Consulting Group Fence Line of Success curriculum. This is these individuals bringing leadership techniques, culture techniques, whatever they're bringing to the table is going to be hugely beneficial. I think that this is the largest gathering of fence professionals in our industry that's ever been put together. And I couldn't be more blessed to say thank you to each and every one of them. But man, it's going to be a fantastic event. 2 full days there in Branson. You were the one that kind of sparked my interest, down there on the, what does it call, the landing?
They're on the landing. Yeah. The Branson landing.
And it is just, our registration has soared the last couple of weeks, and I guarantee you it's going to be a sellout. So if you haven't got your registration and your hotel booked, you need to get it done now, because we will have a hard shutdown at 75 to 100 people. So you guys get registered, and it's on our website.
Yeah. So and it's worth saying, calling out fence guys for not registering early. Just to flash back for a second, because there was a gentleman for fence installation school that registered while he was on the plane flying into Tulsa.
That's true.
That is the epitome of a fence guy, to say, well, I'm on the plane, I might as well register for this thing. Let's not do that because likely there won't be spots available. For the second annual. Right there on the Branson landing, Hilton Promenade. Great location. Branson, Missouri, guys, is about the most family-friendly destination you'll find. I would say in the nation, but at least in the Midwest.
And it's even more that it's going to be Christmas in Branson, right?
Oh yes.
So I remember back in my early life, Mom and Dad taking us up there, the beautiful lights, the activities, everything that's going on. The shows are all Christmas, centered. This is truly a family opportunity, and I know that a lot of the attendees that are coming in are bringing their family simply because it will be, after-hour opportunities and things of that nature. So, I'm excited about this opportunity that people have to come in.
So we were down at Silver City, which is kind of the theme a theme park there in Branson, and they're already set for Christmas. We did the tree lighting, we did the Christmas parade. Branson is Christmas, and it's full bore. Like I said, all the shows.
Christmas is basically taking over Thanksgiving. Okay, so all right. It's like you go into the big box movers now. There's nothing in there for Thanksgiving. Christmas is taking over. Halloween, was there previously. It's just crazy.
So Tony, let me ask you, on TikTok, we're having a very real conversation about this right now. Thanksgiving. Is it after Christmas? Is it after Thanksgiving or after Halloween? Do you decorate for Christmas?
Decorations for Christmas happens at our house after Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
That's the way I was brought up. That's the way it will continue. My wife's family and my family. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. Now there may be some storage boxes that says Christmas already under my carport.
Sure.
Okay.
Getting ready.
Been married for 46 years. Okay. Is yes, dear. Okay. So, But the setup, we got to get around to that. Right.
Well, that's one at a time, right? Yep. One at a time. You have to give thanks first. Thanks first. So typically this studio is set up for Thanksgiving, just to prove this point. And we've got all the decorations ready to go right back up because we're taking a hard stance on this, Tony, that you've got to give Thanksgiving the proper respect before you go into Christmas. Now, day after Thanksgiving,
it's on
Christmas. Tree goes up, lights go up. But Tony, I've got something to confess to you. We've already got Christmas lights up on the house because the Christmas light guy didn't want to do it when it was cold. So he came out before Halloween. And I thought about firing him just right on the spot. But then I don't want to do it. So we let it slide.
Well, if you're actually throwing out confessions, I will do the same thing. Okay, my Christmas light guy is showing up today, Saturday the 16th, to put them up at our house. Now, the switch won't go on until after Thanksgiving, but the lights are there because I'm not getting on that roof. I would have done it in my younger year, but I am not getting on that roof. And these guys do it like in lickety-split, hour and a half time. They're in, they're out, they're done,
Yeah, so my guy brings like one of those portable man lifts and just right in there and zing, 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 and he's gone.
Yeah.
it would take me the better part of a weekend at least,
no.
and a trip to the hospital more than likely.
There you go. I got a fear of falling these days.
Yeah. Now, I did tell the kids, I said, if you want to find out who gets the whooping first, the first one to plug that in.
Yeah.
And you just know your siblings will tell on you. Like everyone here knows this. There are no safe secrets here. So that's right. That's right. Anyway, I don't know how we got so. Well, I know how we got so far afield.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
Branson is ready for Christmas, and all the shows, all of the. I mean, the Christmas lights are up. So the neat thing about the landing, they've got it's a really great spot. It's all the shopping you could want, but they've also got a really nice light or a really nice fountain show right there on Lake Taneycomo. On the other side is a steep bluff where they'll have a like a Christmas, like a nativity scene kind of up there. And there's a whole, just north of Branson, there's Christmas lights you drive through. It's ready. So, but so it's family friendly. I'm glad to hear people are bringing their families, because if you don't, I feel like that's a missed opportunity. But let's talk about just the massive amounts of knowledge, of experience that are just going to be airdropped into that room. How many speakers you got lined up, Tony?
Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, a bunch. But of course, I'll be doing a 7 strategies, overview the last day. Okay. Yeah. But my good friend and associate Mike Golish will be doing some gate safety, which is high on everybody's agenda right now, gate operator safety. Jordan Loker will be there. Dominic Rubino. Now, nobody probably knows Dominic except for a few fence guys that have used him as a consultant. He's out of Canada. But Dominic will be doing our opening keynote on Monday morning. And he brings a powerful message. He has a podcast that is called the Profit Tool Belt. And he does a tremendous amount of, knowledge-based things in the Canadian market, but he is phenomenal, and he's going to be an interesting speaker for us as a keynote kickoff. We got a good friend, Jeff Cook, with Building Industry Partners, that's always talking about exit strategy and how we're going to go about that, what to look for. Our good friend, Matt Warner, has got a really, really unique topic that he's going to deliver for our attendees. Andrew Martin, Atlas Financial Strategies. He's going to bring in, how to run your business better and those type things. Our good friend, Robert Whitaker. And, of course, Sam Natello will be there talking a little bit about, the marketing and aspect of, websites and Google reviews and those type things. You mentioned Luke Gibson earlier. Luke, talking about I think this is a powerful message, how the fence industry has impacted his life. Okay. I started out in the fence industry, but now where's it taking me? And I think Luke's going to have a really powerful message to everybody there. Our good friend Shane, who's sitting in a tree stand this morning, but Shane Catton's going to be talking about some HR and some contract negotiation opportunities for our attendees. Our good friend Mark Olson from Job Nimbus. He's really going to focus on some marketing techniques, but also a different type of message that's going to be resonated with everybody that's in attendance as well. I basically give all of the speakers carte blanche. Man, just bring something that you feel will be powerful and accepted by the attendees that they can take back and implement. Our good friend Dan Wheeler, our good friend Joe Everest, and then Michael Reed with the American Fence Association is going to talk about strategic planning for your businesses. Nice. Our good friend Justin Judy's bringing in a very unique message. He's always been the tech guy. But he asked me, he says, can I bring something different? I said, Justin, bring whatever you want, man. Just make sure it makes an impact. And then our good friend Josh Glover. Josh has kind of been behind the scenes a little bit lately. I said, look, man, you got to come out of retirement. You got to come back and, put a voice, into the industry. And he's accepted that opportunity. So we're excited about all of those individuals being there. Also, we're going to have some pop-up speakers that will be coming in with some of these individuals, 10 or 15-minute time frames to just introduce some other things that's going on in our industry that's come about since, we put this list of people together. But I don't know that the industry's ever put together a stronger lineup of individuals that are really in it for the right reasons. And I'm excited about, everyone that's in attendance, is going to get a powerful message out of each and every one of these folks.
Tony, when you sent the email, I went and looked through like the CC, like the list of who all. I was like, I don't know why I'm on this list. Maybe I'm going to cover it, maybe, or something like that. But I mean, just massive list of names. So Jeff, I had never, to single one out, I had never met Jeff prior to the first annual last year there at Shangri-La. And then, so I listened to him. I was like, I've got to figure out how I can like corner this guy and talk to him for like 5-10 minutes. Kind of find out, didn't need to corner him. He was, I had brought something up and he was like, you got a little while? Because I've got some thoughts on this. And,
yes.
Holy cow. And of course, I mean, I don't want to start going down the line because we all are familiar with, I mean, Matt Warner's message. I don't know what it is, but I know I want to be on the front row for it. Anything he says is you listen, you know, just because he's built a culture there in his company that shines, you know, brighter than anything.
Yeah.
So my talk, and I'll tease it. Have you ever heard of Wally Pipp?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
He was a New York Yankee. Are you sure? He's a New York Yankee. Yeah,
well, I'm not a baseball follower, so that's probably telling you all the story right there.
Most everyone hasn't. And so we're going to talk about why that is. We'll leave it at that. And also, you know what, Tony? I've got something on my heart I want to talk. I'm going to see how long that talk goes. I've got something on my heart that we've talked about a while, but I want to reiterate in that. In my granddad's era, it was an era of collaboration, right? So here locally, now hear me when I say collaboration, not, you know, not price fixing, not any of collusion, none of this, but collaborating. It was an era of collaborating of, you know, do you need something? I could have somebody run over to you, or, hey, I could use a couple guys extra because I'm on this big project. And like, it was professionals helping professionals.
Yeah.
For some reason, in my dad's era, 180,
wow.
Complete 180 in that it was competition. You're my competitor. So not only am I not going to help you, but I'm not going to share any of my secrets. I'm not going to do any of this, which, fun fact, they're not really secrets. Like they're all versions of each other's secrets.
Exactly.
There's no big proprietary way of installing.
The only secret they have is everybody has the same challenges. That's the secret.
Right. Like, that's weird. You have a revolutionary way of digging through rock? No. Well, neither do I. Like, it's not. Yeah. Our struggles are all the same. Yes. What I'd love to see us get back to as an industry, Tony, is the era of collaboration. And I feel like we're going there. I feel like we are headed in that direction because we're having conferences like this. We're having trainings like what we had a couple weeks ago. We have the opportunity to bring big groups together and say, here's how I do it. Here's the struggles I face. Has anyone else faced struggles like this? And just collaborate on elevating the industry as a whole. I feel like we're headed there, but yeah, I also feel led to talk about it. So we'll see how long the Wally Pipp, because the Wally Pipp talk's a good talk. And so anyway, awesome. We'll see about splitting the time maybe.
I appreciate that thought process because you were there Sunday night when I challenged those guys, you know, to be a servant leader and be a high road leader. You know, what can you do for others? And that's that collaborated effort, the thought process that you're thinking about right there. Yeah. And in my era of time in Mississippi, growing up, you know, it was all we're competition. We're never gonna help you, support you. You know, if you need attention, man, you find somebody else to get it from because I ain't got one. Yeah. But by the time Mr. Jeffcoat started the chapter, got engaged with his competition in the market, it turned into what can we do to better our industry?
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's the era of time. And I think to some extent in some regions we're there, but we still got a lot of work. That's why every time we get in front of somebody, if we can challenge, you know, to be that high road servant leader, we're going to be better off for it. So, yeah.
I couldn't agree anymore because here's the thing is we each market, I view it as a table full of abundance, right? Mm-hmm. So you walk into a big dining hall and there's a table filled with an abundance of food. One person could not sit at this table and eat this food. Sure. Right. So depending on the market is depending on the size of the table, but you could have 4, 6, 8, 20 professionals sit and share this bountiful meal and coexist. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the point, is not step on toes, not go swipe off somebody else's plate. Like there's blessings on the table for you, brother.
Amen.
Have your fill. I feel like that's where we're headed. Hopefully, I feel like that's where we should be headed, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I like where we're headed as an industry, Tony. Now, speaking of Matt Warner, if you listen clearly, if you listen carefully, you could hear that woo coming from vaguely to the north. I can hear
it. I love it. Yeah.
No, this is going to be a great group of guys. So,
and hey, let me share this with you. Rachel actually reached out to me this last week, and Matt does his Mondays with Matt or Matt on Mondays or something like that.
Yep.
And we're coordinating I think it's going to be a streamed or live event after the all day Monday deal, like a panel. So, I said, Rachel, whatever you want to do, you and Matt make it happen. We got the perfect platform. We got a great opportunity here. Make it happen. So that's one of those add-ons, that's going to be available for roundtable discussion and those type things from a panel type event. So that's awesome. Really
these are the people that you'll be around for several days, not only in the room, giving presentations and sharing what they feel led to share.
Yep.
But also it's the evenings after, right? So the great thing about the landing is you don't have to go anywhere. There's great food right there. There's a bowling alley, for Pete's sake. If somebody gets a wild hair and wants to go bowling, they've got that too. But I feel like you're going to see pockets of professionals after this event, like after hours, still kind of find each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
That's where most of the learning is done after you get through. Around the campfire, sitting at a table eating dinner with somebody. That's the most impressive part. Yep.
So, live Monday with Matt. Topic is coaching and just being a friend.
What's wrong with that? Good job. I love it.
Matt's one of these guys. I consider him one of my best friends. But you got to think like how many people he's touched. Like, I know this isn't a competition, but Matt might have the most best friends ever. Like, I feel like that might be a thing. Not a competition, and he would deny it. If he was sitting on the other side, he'd probably turn his camera off. He doesn't want any of that talk.
I get it.
But talk about influential leaders all coming together and just pouring out, sharing a story, sharing a message they feel led to share. I feel honored just to be able to sit in the room and listen to it all and just take it all in.
Joe, not only your podcast, but your opportunity, in front of people, just like, shaking a hand and just, be willing to express your thoughts and allow them to say, hey, what do you think about this? Yep. That's the leadership that we need. That's the why these 15 or 16 people, were asked to participate, because every one of them is a willing participant of wanting to help. And I'm excited about this lineup. If I put a major league team together, you know what? We're winning a World Series with this group.
You're not kidding. It's a room full of so much experience, so much depth of knowledge in so many different areas. Right. So I think Matt's the undisputed king of culture. And he's already the fun thing about this being my show is I don't have to stop. Like we can just keep on going.
There you go. There you go.
But undisputed king of culture. But then you've got guys talking about finance that have. Andrew Martin has so much experience in finance and just leading people to successful exits, right? Helping them prepare the steps. Jeff has a tremendous amount of experience with exits, with mergers and acquisitions. So you've got so much knowledge that you can pick and choose from. Last year I was listening to the whole successful exit merger acquisition. Not that it's on my horizon, but one of the Rockefeller habits is you begin with the end in mind, right? Well, I didn't begin with that end in mind, but we're going to catch up, right? To keep all of our ducks in a row. Well, this year I'm going to go for a completely different reason. Now I'm still here to listen to that conversation, but I'm also interested in just hearing from, Josh Glover. I would talk about a guy that when he speaks, you should listen. Like he's got a lot of things figured out. This room is going to be so impactful. And I guess the point I'm trying to send home is if you were there last year, you already understand that you need to be there this year. But if you weren't able to come last year, get in on this year, because it's a room of just incredible opportunities.
Well, Joe, you can appreciate this. So, when we left Shangri-La last year, we only had maybe eight, speakers.
Yep.
And I left there like, how in the world will we ever top this? How in the world,
Right.
can we do better? What can we do to make it any better than we just had it? And I said, you know what? Just bring in manpower, bring in the components of powerful speakers willing to share, and that's how we went about it. So I hope that I know, I'm not going to say hope, I know that everybody there will be blessed by a number of the speakers, if not all the speakers. Somebody's going to pick up exactly what they were looking for by their attendance. And again, guys, seating is limited, so please visit the website, get signed up. The hotel has to be done separately. It's an investment of $750, but you're going to leave there with more knowledge than 10 times that with what you're going to take away. And we're going to have a spectacular and fun time. That's for sure.
It's going to be a great time. And, I think the reality is, with this many speakers, you're probably going to go thinking you're going to hear one thing and go with one goal in mind, but walk out with 2 or 3 other, huge wins that you weren't even ready for. But because you were in the room, because you had a seat at the table, then that sparks this other thought process, this other idea that leads to a whole new trajectory for the company or for you as a person or a professional.
This is true. I hate to change the subject on you, but we do need to give a shout out to our friends from Canada, Front Rock Fences up there.
Sir.
They mentioned participating with the Canadian Fence Association in Calgary, actually in Banff. In February, as most people know, that Thornton Fence Consulting Group is supporting and managing the Canadian Fence Association. We got a lot of powerful things going on there for our Canadian friends. They're professionals looking for the same thing that the American professionals are looking for.
Sure.
And we're going to be providing an event there called the Annual Fence Summit, and we will have a full day of 8 or 10 different concurrently run education programs. That's going to be happening there, as well as networking opportunities. But the Canadian Fence Association website is live and it's ready to go. Those that, hey, you guys travel up and, share some stuff up there. It'd be a fun time. Banff, from what I understand, I've been there only one time, but from what I saw, is like the Park City on steroids. It was absolutely beautiful. The venue is unbelievably spectacular. And I just know that it's going to be a good event. And I appreciate, our friends at Front Rock shouting out about their attendance. And I've had a conversation with those guys, and we're anxious to get them involved with that Canadian Fence organization to a level of support. And we're excited about that coming up February 4, 5, and 6, or 4, 5, and 6 there in Banff. So y'all go to the website, check it out, CanadianFenceAssociation.ca.
I've been to Calgary once, and that was for a Canadian Nationals horse show. Beautiful, beautiful country. Beautiful country. Yep. So is Banff? I don't know my Canadian geography.
Hour and a half. If you fly into Calgary, you've done it. You might as well be flying into Tulsa or Dallas Fort Worth, right? Flat land, businesses and those type things. You drive an hour and a half north, or I guess it'd be west. West of Calgary. Then you start getting into the mountains and to the beautiful scenery. And Banff, like I said, is just absolutely gorgeous in the mountain environment. In February, in Calgary is going to be, a lot of snow, but a lot of beautiful scenery. So we're excited about having this event.
So, what's funny, Tony? It used to be wintertime was like the season that everyone took off, right? Well, it was kind of like the slow time. Well, we just came out of Fence Installation School, Fence Business School. We're running right into the second annual business conference. And then we're running into, I guess we have January off. I can't think of anything in January. So we got a month off.
Yep.
But then we run straight into the first annual in Calgary or in Banff. And then right after that, we roll straight into Fence Tech in Salt Lake City.
Right.
And then we're off to the races. And then it is straight into fence season.
Look, this electronic scheduling with calendars these days is an amazing thing, because that's the only thing that keeps me somewhat organized. But to your point, man, it's back to back to back to back. And, again, when we opened up the show today, if we're talking fence, I'm in, and I'd love to be part of it. So we're excited about anything that we can help the industry with.
it's like off-season training, right? So for sports professionals in the off-season, they're still training, they're still practicing, they're still getting together, so that when the next season hits, they're firing on all cylinders. Hopefully they're ahead of where they were the previous season. So this is probably the same. This is probably the same. See, and this is the one way that we're all really like sports professionals, and that we have an off season, and that's kind of what this feels like, right? So we're building up our our installation skills, we're building up our business skills, we're networking with other professionals, and the Canadian Fence Association. I'm incredibly interested to watch that thing grow, because Front Rock Fence is obviously Brad Jones. There's a lot of guys up in Canada that are just giants in the industry up there, but they come down to the United States because, not to get into past histories, but they're looking for something north of the border. And I love what the Canadian Fence Association is doing now, in that it's kind of refiring and building and growing and including all these professionals, these men and women up in Canada.
Yeah, we've got an exciting board. They basically just said, "Hey, Tony, give us some recommendations on how we can, position ourselves better for the Canadian professionals." We've launched some certifications for the Canadian professionals there in a lot of different areas. It's on the website. We're doing at Brad Jones' location over in April. We're going to do the first Canadian Fence Association sponsored gate operator installation training.
Nice.
Where we're actually going to be doing hands-on for a cantilever gate, hands-on for a single swing, and hands-on for a double swing, both actuator and conventional. And the registration and all that's open up as well. So there's a lot of good things happening in our Canadian, north of our Canadian border, our American border. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't be more proud of being part of it and helping those guys, elevate the level of professionalism there. We're excited about it. When I talk to those guys, they laugh at me because I say, "Man, you got a funny accent." They say, "Oh man, you should hear yourself."
Yeah. I said, "No, I sound normal now. You, sir, though, you got the accent."
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, Tony, we've held you for an hour. I know Saturday mornings are always tough. Thank you again for making time. Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
You know what? Let's just keep doing what we're doing, providing support to our industry, elevating the professional level, and, being that servant leader. Take that high road attitude, and we're going to be better off for it. As always, keep on fencing. So, guys, learn more about Tony. Check out what he's got coming up. FenceConsultingGroup.com. Is that right, Tony? Yes, sir. Thank you. Check out Tony there. Guys, I love having Tony on because he was influential in my growth as a professional, and now he's continuing to help others with their growth in the profession. Check Tony out. Really good person in the industry. Thank you, Joe. Of course, Tony. Thank you so much for making time to come on. I really do appreciate it. Guys, thank you for watching. If you're listening to the podcast or if you're watching on TikTok and you'd like to participate in the actual conversation next time, youtube.com, facebook.com, linkedin.com/Joe Everest. Join the chat. We'll have a conversation. Next week, we're going live. We're going live for the next, pause. Not next week because that's Thanksgiving. Week after. No, I don't know. We'll see. Actually, I think we are going live next week because I believe Nick Reich is coming on to talk about recap the overall training experience, but also to talk about the AFA's online learning that they've rolled out and that they're continuing to build out. So even if you're not in an area that has a training local to you, you can still participate in training. So I think that's an interesting conversation to have as well. So guys, just stay tuned to the channel to find out when we'll be live next, and we'll go from there. Guys, for now, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert. Tony Thornton, the man, the myth, the legend. He is him in the fencing industry. Tony Thornton. Just Tony. Reminding you that good fences make, Tony, good neighbors. And we'll see you next time.